Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
California signs Indoctrination into law. Hi, this is Sean Akers, Dean of the Helms School of Government and Vice President for Middle Eastern Affairs with Liberty Counsel, in for Matt Staver today. And joining me in studio is Daryl Edwards, the President of Liberty Counsel Action and a Director at Liberty University School of Law. Daryl, yesterday we talked about the students in Roswell, New Mexico not being allowed to share their thoughts on how Christ could help other people, even when attached to Krispy Kreme donuts in their own time and on their own volition. These poor students were completely locked out of using their free speech rights and were punished for doing so. But recently, the governor of California, Jerry Brown, signed into law a bill that forces the indoctrination of students in the achievements of homosexuals in the United States. Now, Daryl, this is quite a contrast here. In one case, we've got in Roswell, New Mexico, students that are not allowed to speak for themselves at all. And in California, it is now law that we're going to tell those students in California who they should admire. And among those people that we tell them, you should admire these folks, those that you should learn about and emulate, we are forcing the issue. Now, we don't do that in any other case. We don't go through and find out all the left-handed people in the world that have accomplished great things. We just tell you the things that people have accomplished. But in this particular case, we're going to go through and we're going to tell you that here are how homosexuals have done things that you should emulate in the United States.
Well, as you said, it's an outrage. It's a total 180 from what we talked about in the previous show, that where Christians and Christian people who were just trying to do good, to encourage the students. That's been banned. Students were punished, forced to sit in a classroom alone for 4 hours. And now here is the complete opposite, where we're trying to enforce a gay pride indoctrination upon our students. It reminds me of the verse in Isaiah where it says, "Woe to those who call good evil and evil good." And I fear that so much like that is happening in our nation today.
You know, that's exactly what's happening. We have one school district literally saying that treating the message of Christian students on a completely different level than any other subtopic, any other topic that the students could be discussing in Roswell, New Mexico, saying that because what you're saying is Christian, you can't say it. And we're going from what you can't say to what you have to learn. You're going to be tested on this material in California, and you are being forced to learn homosexual history. You're being forced to learn the history of homosexuals. Now, I'll tell you what bothers me about that the most, Daryl, is these advocacy groups. If you really want to know, we've discussed this on this program a variety of times, if you really want to understand the tactics and strategies at play, you have to read Saul Alinsky's book, Rule for Radicals, because it's being followed very precisely. What this is more about, this is not about education, and it's not about diversity, and it's not about giving students a fair vision of things. What it's about is telling students who to emulate. When we put in front of them, this is the reason that for so long the Founding Fathers have been under attack, because the left doesn't want our children to emulate them anymore. So we have to pull out everything that we possibly can that would tear them down and would cut them down to size and make them not just flawed humans, but in some cases disgusting humans. But at the same time, we're going to pick the groups that we want our children to emulate, that we want them to admire, and we're going to lift them up and say, look at what they've done. Look at all the good that they've done. Now, in this particular case, the factors that they've chosen to make that distinction on are people's sexual activity, not where they came from, not their genetics, not anything. It's their sexual activity that they're using to say, look at what these people who operate in these sexual practices have been able to do for our nation. Emulate them because of what they've done.
Well, and it's hard to separate the sexual practices from this, because that's what part of what they are. This group is, they are identified by their sexual practices. They're not identified by anything else, any other characteristics, because they come from all races and creeds and everything else. So that's how they want to be identified, and yet they're wanting to present them as a group and ignoring that aspect of what defined them. And as you mentioned earlier, we don't pull out other groups, left-handed people, and say, let's talk about all their great achievements. So I think there's misleading going on here.
Well, and it would be even worse than that, because the analogy of left-handed people, that may be genetic. The arguments, and obviously the left argues that it is genetic, but there's no proof of that at all. I mean, it's not come out to be that way at all. It appears just the opposite, that it's a set of choices. So really, it would be more that people who like to put together 1,000-piece puzzles. Look at the contributions of them, or look at the contributions of underwater basket weavers or something. You're drawing an arbitrary distinction, and the reason is very, very clear. It's a political reason. It's that you want to begin to indoctrinate the next generation. The war for a nation's mind and heart is always fought one generation ahead.
Yeah.
By the time people become adults, they're set in many of their thought processes and their ways. Their morals have been ingrained. It's very, very difficult to convince an adult to take a different path.
But you wonder where it stops, though. Someone had written, what's going to be next in California? Are they going to take field trips to a gay pride parade? Because once you open the door to the studies, then you can go, and there's a lot of other things you can do, and the indoctrination just continues even more.
Well, I'm quite sure that, like I said, we need to read Saul Alinsky's book, because I can tell you that whatever you're seeing now, there's more coming. There's more on the playing field. And the strange thing about it, Daryl, is that silence is the absolute worst response to these things, because if you're quiet, it's testing the waters. It's seeing, can you do it? Can Jerry Brown sign this bill into law without suffering any political repercussions? If he can, there's another bill on the way that's going to be more extreme. This is the place where the American people have to stand up and hold the guard. Now, I find this really interesting and ironic, because the homosexual movement around the nation, one of the big pushes that it's got is an anti-bullying program that literally using the nomenclature of bullying to apply to anything that would be anti-homosexual in any of the schools in the United States. But tell me who's really being bullied here. When we look at who's being bullied and who's doing the bullying, we've got students in New Mexico who aren't allowed to speak, and they were bullied through being sent home and through having to serve 4 hours each in detention on Saturdays. These students were bullied into being quiet. And at the same time, you've got the California legislature and the government saying that I don't care what you want to hear in public schools. I'm telling you what you are going to hear. You are going to hear, you are going to study, you are going to read, you are going to learn, and you are going to be tested on the benefits of that homosexuals, they claim, have made in the United States. I mean, this is, you want to talk about bullying, this is the state bullying the weakest members of our society.
Well, all the more reason, as we've discussed before, to repeat the phrase, elections have consequences. And Jerry Brown, being governor, he signed into law. Someone else had been elected, they might not have signed it into law. Someone else had been elected to the state representative places, it probably wouldn't have even come up. So all the more important for Christians and people who are against this type of behavior to stand up, to vote for others, and to run for office themselves.
That's exactly right. I tell you, every time that Daryl and I get together, you will probably hear this, that you, as the American people, have the ability to act. The fact is that the Constitution of the United States doesn't say, I, the President. It doesn't say, we, the Congress, and it most assuredly does not say, we, the judiciary. It says, we, the people. And you, sitting there as a citizen of the United States, just by proxy of your birth or naturalization, have been chosen, anointed by God, to be a member of the sovereign body of the United States of America. This is an opportunity for you to stand up and take a leadership position. This is the time that it counts. When we look back, Daryl, at American history, we see that leaders come up at the most most innocuous times. It's when the heat is on, and that it would be easiest to remain silent, that our leaders pop up. Well, don't be content with just being an observer. Be a participant. Join with us at Liberty Counsel to try to make a difference. You can do that in a variety of ways. One of those is that you can befriend us on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/Liberty Counsel and find out much more about what we're doing and stay informed. You can also join with us by going to the website that we have. We have a variety of resources there that you can partake of. That's lc.org, lc.org. And if you'd like to support us financially, you can do so by making a $10 donation anytime by texting LC 20222. That's LC 20222.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.